Welcome back. My name is Nigel MrSchroeter, and I bring you guys finance information weekly, if not daily. So stay tuned. Today, I wanted to bring this video to you guys because I was asked by one of my subscribers, hey, are you able to help me with getting a repossession off of my credit? And I'm personally not doing any credit repair for anyone. Currently, haven't been for a while. So I said, hey, what's the next best thing that I could do is teach you how to get rid of a repossession on your own without having to hire a credit repair company or pay them, because essentially this is what a credit repair company would attempt to do, as well as if you work with a financial advisor, they're going to give you something along the same lines of this process. So the first thing you want to do is review your credit report. You want to get a copy of your credit report, and you want to check that credit report and make sure that it's accurate. I would get a copy of your credit report with all three bureaus. Remember, all the bureaus do is house information. However, the bureaus do not actually create the scores. The scores are created based off of the information that the bureaus house, but the bureaus are not the ones creating the scores. And I know it can be confusing because sometimes people will say, well, my Experian score or my Equifax score is higher, or vice versa. However, what it really may be is there may be a discrepancy in one of your credit reports. So one of your credit reports may show an account that another one doesn't show. I see this happen a lot of the times with repossessions, especially when they go through smaller lenders or banks, or if you're going from a buy here, pay here lot or something like that, they might not be recognized by all three credit bureaus to actually furnish that information. So what I would definitely say is, first things first, check your credit reports and make sure that all three of them match when it comes to this repossession. And I say this especially because a lot of times people will be trying to apply for a certain credit card. And if you know that that credit card pulls from a certain bureau and your repossession doesn't show up on that bureau, it's going to be to your advantage. So for instance, if I want an American Express card, even if I have a repossession, I can apply to get that card because they typically pull Equifax, and my repossession doesn't show up on Equifax. Just a example of a situation that I've experienced. I've had it happen where someone wanted Navy Federal and their repossession showed up on Equifax and Experian. Okay, well, hey, if my repossession is not showing up on TransUnion and I know Navy Federal pulls from TransUnion, I'm free and clear to still apply. Now, that may not be the solution to everything. Per se, you're trying to buy a house or something like that. What I do want you to realize is when they're, pulling credit for houses and they're looking for outstanding debt, and they're going to run your name through different systems and check and see if you owe any banks or anything like that. So even though it may not be on your credit report, if you still have an outstanding debt with the lender, that may appear. So I'm going to recommend that, okay, you go ahead and you try and contact whoever is actually furnishing that debt at that time, and you ask them to validate the debt. Sometimes if your account is sold to a third-party company, they may not be able to validate the debt. If they can't validate the debt, then they have to remove it from your credit report. And they also can't collect on a debt that they can't validate, So that's something that's very big, and it's a easy and quick way to get that repossession removed. But okay, now let's say you've called and you validated it with whoever's trying to collect from you, and they were able to validate it. Now you have to, look into, okay, can I negotiate this? So you'll contact your lender and you'll say, hey, is there a way that we can settle this? Is there something that, I can pay to get this account removed? And so now you may be able to come to some sort of settlement agreement, give them, pennies on the dollar compared to what you actually owed them. And now you can negotiate that settlement and potentially get it removed. If you want to get it removed, I would recommend that you get a written agreement from whichever company you make that settlement agreement with to get it removed. Because once you make that written agreement, it'll be a lot easier to get it removed and not have to worry about saying, okay, well, I paid them, but now it's marked as, settled in full, but I still have this on my credit report and it's still preventing me from, housing or whatever else you're trying to get. The other thing is, filing a dispute. So if you see that any of your information on your credit report relating to that repossession is inaccurate or incomplete, file a dispute with the credit bureau and provide any evidence that you have to support that information is inaccurate. I actually had one time, and it sounds crazy, but I had one time that I was working with someone, and someone had bought a house and a car in their name. Like this person was living a complete double life that they had no clue about. The person bought a house and a car in their name in a state that they never lived in. And it was just crazy because it's like, how did, they get all these documents and were able to sit down at the closing table in your name and, it was never you, because a house, there's so many checks that they do before you actually purchase the house that it was kind of crazy to think that someone was able to pull that scheme off, but somehow they were able to. And so, being able to use a track record of, okay, well, when this house was purchased, I was in the financial position to purchase a home. I was living here. I was renting, showing the lease, doing all that other stuff. It's things that you can do to kind of have those additional safeguards to say, hey, well, I have records that this was not me or in no way, shape, or form. It was also great in that situation because, that person was on housing when the house was bought in the other state. So it's like, how was I on housing and living in housing here, but purchasing a home there? That doesn't make sense. So, we were able to, work through that and they were able to get it removed. Now, whenever you file a dispute, I always recommend that you send it certified mail. That way you can keep that tracking number and you can guarantee what day they receive it, because remember, if you don't receive a return in a timely manner, then now there's different avenues you can go to get that account removed just off of their negligence. Now, moving forward, the other thing that you can always do is wait 7 years. Now, I say this because I have a lot of the times where people will call me and they've had a repossession on their credit for, 5 years, 6 years, 5.5 years. And I'm like, hey, at this point, it's not too much affecting your score, but it is going to show as a delinquency. However, within a year or two, this will be off of your credit report and how much credit have you actually rebuilt, during that time frame. If you have, no credit rebuilt and you're saying you want to purchase a home, but you also have that, repossession still showing, I'm going to tell you, hey, you know what? Don't worry about settling. Don't worry about putting all this money and time and energy into trying to remove this repossession. Go ahead and get some secured cards with that same money and build up your credit report. And then when this falls off in a year, you'll be in the position to, purchase a home. So if you're already, 4 years in or 5 years into your repossession, that may be something you want to weigh out too, as your opportunity cost is it going to be worth it to fight the repossession versus taking that same money and putting it towards repairing your credit? That's something you have to balance out and determine if what's going to be in your best interest in your situation. moving forward, you guys know, I'm always going to recommend not only rebuilding your credit, but most importantly, seeking proper legal advice and learning about whether your repossession is unlawful or if you need help with the negotiating process or anything like that. You have an expert in that field, and as well, stay informed on the laws pertaining to car loans and repossessions and and credit, so that way you understand your rights and you're empowered with being able to handle the situation yourself. So, as always, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being a part of the family. And we will see you in the next video.